Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Software Engineer K here, and I can proudly announce I am not on Android today. So, firstly, we have quite a few different things to go through where it has been some news regards to ImmutableX and the potential hacking. I'm going to explain exactly what happened, or what I believe to have happened from my experience as a software engineer. And there has also been a few updates with regards to a new set. Now, there has been quite a lot of different things going on with OMI, so I'm going to be explaining to you guys what my play is with OMI, what I've been doing for the past, I would say past 5 months with OMI. And just kind of adding that to context, since now I think it's relevant, along with kind of one of my times where I broke one of my personal rules and I kind of paid the price for it. So you guys will see exactly how that thought process went. So recently we had the Ron English drop, and with Ron English, he said that, in this article actually, they said that there's 12 digital collectibles released over 3 series, and there should be one more additional collectible. We don't know what it is, some kind of secret rare. It's interesting to see how the rare from the last set is kind of like the centerpiece. I thought this was going to be kind of like the secret rare, but Ron English, he said that, almost done with the series. Something amazing will happen if you gather all of them. Now, my personal rule, as many would know, is after a drop, if I don't get the drop, I'll wait a week and then I'll buy after it's dipped. If you saw the ultra rare storm, the week before, it was going for like 700, 800, and this weekend it had dipped 250 gems. Now it's up to about 300. So I personally broke my rules, so I was going to wait until next weekend to pick up the serial killers, just because I know they were going to drop in value. But I waited and I kind of tried to get them at the floor price. However, things can go wrong. This whatever it is that was supposed to happen, it didn't happen immediately. I don't know when it's going to happen, so what I suspect is, as this kind of gets left to the side, the value of these will slowly start to go down. And if I had just waited and followed my rule, I wouldn't have lost about I would say 40 gems. It's not a lot, because luckily I did wait on the day. The ultra rare was going for 550, 600. I waited and got it around about 440ish, so it's not that bad. But yeah, my rule, if I just stuck to it and followed my strategy, then I'd probably be in a slightly better position now. But that's just one of the times where I've taken a small loss, and it's because I didn't follow my own personal strategy. Now, on that point actually, if we go to the upcoming comic drop tomorrow, so again, typical comic drop, 30,000 editions. Is this a valuable comic? Not really. It's about 1.3k for a 9.2. So this is probably going to see similar to the House of X, for example. So I'm not expecting too much from this. Common, I suspect, going for your standard 10 gems, uncommon around about 20, rare around about 40, ultra rare I think is going to go for around about 120, and then secret rare I think is going to go for about 500. That's kind of my prediction. I think it'll be pretty accurate to that, because we've seen plenty of comics now where it's like it's not got anything super special about it, and that's typically the numbers we see. So I'm pretty convinced that's what we'll probably see. But we'll see some more classic comics coming up. I suspect we'll see some good ones for the upcoming Spider-Man film as well. They'll probably release something in concurrently to the film release. Now, one core topic I wanted to just address is ImmutableX. So yes, ImmutableX. For those who aren't aware, I'm part of another project. We approached ImmutableX to essentially get onboarded onto them. It was very, very difficult, just because they, as a company, are a startup themselves. They're scaling. We know that they were also having issues. So in the end, we didn't go with ImmutableX. We went with Polygon, because it's a tried and tested solution. It works. It's got growing adoption. There are loads of projects, and it's typically not too bad as a layer 2 solution. So and it's one of the greener ones as well. So it just fit. And there are other Polygon-based projects migrating to Immutable in this cycle. If they can successfully migrate to Immutable, so in the future, the project I'm doing, we can potentially also migrate to ImmutableX. That would probably be the plan. But it's a risk, putting all of your kind of business onto a solution that is in itself a startup. They're doing things for the first time, and that's kind of what we're experiencing now. And on that point, a lot of kind of growing projects, they tend to, it's very difficult to integrate new teams and get them working cohesively, and that's kind of what I think we're seeing right now with Immutable. It's a fantastic product, but they have teething issues. So they kind of had this on their front end of their website, where they had a bunch of placeholder images and what looks like placeholder values for prices, and this kind of scared people because some of these images were quite not quite standard. There's like poop in the toilet, there's like random things. So they said that an older version of the website was deployed, and some people they're like that sounds like BS. Now what I suspect actually happened is, and this is I'm guilty of doing the same thing, is when you first create a project, you fill it up with random placeholder data just to see that, your function is working. So what I suspect is they've got, some function that looks at a database and looks at all of the image in the database that are, most recently listed. And it basically populates the image and the metadata row by row by row. And they basically wanted to test that functionality was working. So they added a bunch of dummy data, and then, that worked. Typically, when I use dummy data, I use memes and cats and things like that. I guess this is just like the personal humor of the devs that did this. Poop in the toilet, random emojis and whatnot. But yeah, once they kind of confirmed in a test environment it's working, they would then deploy it to production or prod, and then they then continuously release. What I suspect probably happened is someone took like the test version and accidentally deployed that, or they had the previous release from prod, and they probably released whatever it was, this test database that I was connecting to. I think it was like one of those kind of things. It's not. I highly doubt it's a hack, just because it doesn't make sense for them to go about and change. But I mean, it can't really have been a hack, because this data, like the prices, those are coming from the back end. Those aren't front end values. So I highly suspect that, and they said that nothing happened with the backend APIs, and I can believe that, because typically these databases are hosted externally via AWS or somewhere, which has very, very powerful security. So I suspect, it was probably human error here. They just released an older release branch, and this is kind of like what it was. So I suspect that branch was one that was never intended for to be released to prod. It was probably a test branch, or one where they did it like back when they first deployed this website. That's my guess. So yeah, nothing to worry about really. Now, last point is just OMI utility program. So version 2 will be coming out. Remember what we said about the comics with the Master Collector program. They released version 2 of the Master Collector program, where the comics have far more value, which is why I'm holding my Secret Rare comics now. I believe that once the program's out, they will kind of regain a lot more of their value when people start to see just how big of a difference those Secret Rare comic points make. But OMI utility program version 2, yes, the first version was a little bit underwhelming. Some people said, hey, if I have more OMI than the minimum amount required for tier 3, then there's no incentive for me to stake, or beyond tier 3, what else more can there be? So I'm pretty sure in the next version there's going to be more of a use case for OMI. It is an iterative process, and I think version 2, it won't stop there. We're probably going to see like version 20 at some point. So I'm pretty happy with that. No issues there. Now, the other point I just want to address is what I've been doing with OMI. So I think it's very, very, very important now to state that the best traders, they're not the ones who are always right. I mean, obviously, if they're always right, then that's good. But the best traders, the people who make the best returns, they're not the ones who are always right, because they're going to be right. Sometimes they're going to be wrong. Sometimes, same thing with me. the reason why I tell everyone what I'm doing is so you can see in a transparent way in the future if I was right or wrong. Okay, most of the time I would say I'm probably on the closer side of, you know, being right, but there have been times where I've been wrong. And it's not about being right or wrong, it's about, can you afford to take a loss if you are wrong? And that all falls under risk management. So the best traders out there are the ones with the best risk management, and I think that just goes without saying. So, you know, this goes back to the point of, you know, my strategy with OMI. So for those who aren't aware, I said, you know, multiple times I actually personally stopped buying OMI back in July, and that was for a few reasons. One reason is I got into Axie Infinity at that time, which has done, you know, pretty well. I think I've made a 3x on Axie Infinity from, you know, the initial investment I put into start growing my farm. But also at the time, you know, I had hit my personal goal of OMI, which was about 20 million tokens. And at that point, I just couldn't justify buying more. Now, I think it was kind of good that at the time I had stopped buying more, because, you know, I stopped buying around about this price point here, was like 0.3 cents. And I kind of saw it, you know, hit these peaks here, like 0.48, 0.6, 0.8 here. And we do see a bit of a retracement down to this 0.5 cent region. And there is some strong support here, so I believe we could bounce back from here. But, you know, it goes without saying that risk management is the most important, you know, aspect of trading. That's just my opinion as well, but I believe it is. So, you know, don't put in more than what you can afford to lose. And, you know, for me, it was a choice of, do I see OMI hitting 1 cent this year? That was my belief. Yes, I believe it still can. But, you know, at that price point, that would have been a 3x. Could I make more than a 3x elsewhere based off of my understanding of these emerging niches in the blockchain, you know, like, for example, play to earn based blockchain gaming? I felt, yes, I could make more than a 3x. And the chance of that was more likely to me than OMI breaking 1 cent this year. That's just how I felt. And that worked out. I put money into Illuvium. That's done like a 4x for me. I put money into Axie Infinity. That breeding that did over 3x for me. I bought Monster Infinite tokens, money tokens on the pre-sale. That did over a 10x for me. So, you know, that worked out for me just because, you know, I managed my risk correctly. If I just carried on buying OMI, yes, I'd probably still be in a bit more of a profit, but it's opportunity cost. So at the end, I believe that we are at a very good point of OMI. If I, you know, hadn't hit my personal target, I would actually buy at this price point. That would be me. But I wouldn't buy a lot. I would wait. I would buy a bit and wait and see if we can come back down to this 0.38 to 0.4 cent region. That could be the next point where we see OMI go down to. And I would buy a bit more there. And anyone who kind of followed my strategy from back in, you know, April, May time, when we just kept going down and down, that's what I did. And that's kind of how I dollar cost averaged down to a pretty low price point. You know, I think my average price is like 0.33 cents, something like that. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, I think at the moment we are at a pretty good point of support with the OMI Utility Program version 2. If that comes out and pleases people, then yes, I think we will have a little bit of recovery, but it comes down purely to ImmutableX and MTL. That's what people have been waiting for. That's what's going to bring us the most, you know, utility to the app. So we just have to wait for that. And obviously people have kind of been complaining about, you know, they said MTL beta testers would be, you know, ready to go like this week, but actually no, it was last week and it didn't happen. So yeah, people are kind of frustrated about that as well. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But that's pretty much everything I want to go through with you guys today. The Ecomi community Christmas quiz, that is confirmed for Thursday the 16th of December. I believe it's the 16th. It's around that time. I'll post some official information. If you haven't seen these quizzes before, we've done one before during the summer in August where we had about 300 people competing for prizes. There will be prizes again. Ecomi is sponsoring us, so that is really, really cool. So shout out to Ecomi, and do check out the link below for the OMI Homie community merch. We've got some OMI Homie t-shirts. You can use my code K10 to get a discount as well. Proceeds do go towards supporting our future events and giveaways. And that's pretty much everything I want to go through with you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, support the content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.